building several quadruplexes. So that is the product that we build. And the reason that we stay in the 1 to 4 door space is so that the average investor is able to use regular financing, you know, Freddie and Fannie sort of conventional financing. Just once you go over that 4 door number, you're now in the commercial lending space. So, you know, that was primarily the reason why we offered product in that range. Most of our investors are, you know, individual investors. Some may be buying their first property. Some may be buying, you know, their 50th property, just depending on, you know, how long they've been doing it in their particular portfolio. But our goal is to put quality, built-to-last product in their portfolio here in the state of Florida. And so our market's expanded from Jacksonville, where we got our start, down to Palm Coast, which we do have an offering in Palm Coast at the current time, which Monica will probably share with you at some point. We also moved into the North Central Florida geographic location, which is pretty much right smack dab in the middle of the state. And that is what we call the Ocala area. And we build in multiple places in the Ocala area. And then we moved into the Southwest Florida part of the state. And we span anywhere from about Fort Myers on up to almost Tampa, which would be the Gulf side of Florida. So those are our general markets. And you're always welcome to visit our website, Southern Impression Homes website, which will give you the locations of all of our current markets, you know, where we're building. You can investigate any of those markets in great detail. We offer free market reports that talk about why we're in those markets, you know, all the different statistics that would be interesting to you in terms of crime statistics or schools, you know, jobs, employers, all of those sorts of things. So those are all readily available to anyone that would like to, you know, peruse our website. So that's a little bit about, you know, our company and our market. Our business model is a very simple, straightforward business model. We designed this business model. We're investors ourselves, and we designed the business model for investors. And it's very simple. We purchase the land. We have a very large land bank, and we're currently buying land for 2025, 2026 builds. We decide what is going to be built on that land. So we will decide whether it's a single family or a duplex or a quadruplex. We have several elevations and several floor plans that we utilize. And then we will release that build, we call, you know, that parcel and that build predetermined, to investors of interest. And they will select parcels or a parcel that they would like to invest in. And they simply put down a 10% reservation deposit for us to build it. They do not have to get a construction loan. We do all of the 90% of the financing on our end. So basically what the investors are doing is putting down a small deposit in order to build, you know, a large asset. So that's nice for the investors because, you know, they don't have to get a construction loan. We build the property for them, build that product. And at the end of the build cycle, our sister company, Suncoast Property Management, then takes the reins and they do all of the marketing, all of the screening, and do everything to get it leased up to the tenant. And then they manage the property. So the business model is designed for an absentee investor who perhaps lives in California or another part of the world that would like to invest in Florida, and provide them with all of the tools that they need in order to do that. We try to make everything as easy as possible. So we have a whole list of preferred lenders if the investor needs lender help. We have a preferred insurance company that helps us with all of the insurance. We have title company. We have a cost segregation company that if anybody wants to participate in that program. So we have lots and lots of assets and tools available, to the investors to make this investment as easy as possible. And every build-to-rent new construction property that we offer does come with a 2-year requirement to utilize our property management services. So when the investor invests with us, they sign a purchase and sale agreement for the property that we're going to build, and they sign a 2-year property management agreement so that when it's finished, our property management agreement, covers that, and they will have the property management. So that's really this kind of in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I don't know, Monica, if you would talk about specific investments of this.
Definitely.
Okay.
So what we like to ask about. Sorry. Yeah, let's
unmute one of the devices. Okay. So basically, for the information that I have loaded out earlier, which is the Ocala property. And so for that particular single home, can you please tell us a bit more about what is it about, and also what is the procedure and to reserve it again? Say, let me just load up the Ocala home again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the single home, the prices definitely looks very attractive. So and also basically we want to make sure. Let me just load up your information again.
Mm-hmm. So Ocala is a fabulous market. It's been very, very popular. We have a difficult time even keeping products available in the area. We specifically see market very quickly. So even more feedback from that service.
Yeah, I'm trying to mute.
So it's a great market, very, very highly sought after by tenants and investors. It's located right in the middle of the state, so it's very easy to access both Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, Gainesville, the Villages. These are all places that are easily accessible from the Ocala market, which is one reason why many companies have chosen to make Ocala a distribution base. So you have a huge, Federal Express, Chewy.com, of course, Amazon, lots of manufacturing. Lockheed Martin is located there, quite a few healthcare companies. There's also a substantial amount of agriculture located in Ocala. And the brand new World Equestrian Center has been completed and continues to grow. It is literally Disney World for people that have horses, which is a huge industry here in Florida, primarily because in the wintertime, there are very few places where you can actually take horses and show them. So we have an awful lot of very, very wealthy people that come to Florida for the winter months, specifically for that purpose. And Ocala is sort of a mecca for that. So the market is very rapidly growing. But the good news about it is it still has a lot of land because of the agricultural base. So we've been able to secure property, relatively inexpensively as compared to a lot of the other markets, such as the coastal markets, as Palm Coast or perhaps Cape Coral, which is another example that we have. So the market is definitely an up and coming growth market. So when you talk about the price point, the nice thing about Ocala is it's still very doable for investors because the price point is still fairly palatable. Now, this particular instance that we have, it's called Marine Oak. and the Marion Oaks area is a huge growth area. We've been building single families in that area for several years. It's just been a great area for growth. But the thing that I like about these particular builds is they're already finished, which means that you eliminate a lot of the risk factors that people perceive with build to rent, such as, price increase issues, interest rate rising, and then of course, just the length of time that you have to wait to have a property built. So, that's one of the really nice things about the Marion Oaks properties is that they are completed and they are ready for tenancy. So, it takes away a lot of the guesswork. They're also a very desirable model. I was there, not yesterday, Friday, but last Friday, and saw them for the first time myself, and I was extremely pleased, and they exceeded my expectations. They're really beautiful. They're a great size, 1,351 square feet. They're 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom with a garage, have their own yard. They're standalone single family. And there is a total in this little community, there were 16 units that were built some time ago by a builder. I'm not even sure who that builder was. And it had a clubhouse and a swimming pool. And then another builder came in and took on both sides of the existing properties, the lots that were available there, they came in and built these beautiful single family homes. So there's a total now of 24 units for the whole community. And so, we are very excited about these because they're finished, because they're ready to be tenanted. They're in a great location. They're right off of Marion Oaks Boulevard, which is easily accessible, whether by foot or by car, to the shopping centers, the gas stations, the schools, the community centers, the churches, and all of the things that are contained within the Marion Oaks subdivision. So it's a great location. We firmly believe that tenants are going to love this location. So it's a great opportunity because, it's ready to go. So if someone is able to either purchase them with cash or with a 1031 proceeds, that's almost impossible these days to find in new construction. So that's a great opportunity for someone that may have that situation. Or if someone is able to close them quickly, they will give you 45 days to close. So if you've got, lending situation all lined up, and you can close within 45 days, this is an excellent opportunity.
他不让我上去，我也不知道为什么。
Yeah.
已经靠近了 microphone， 会不会？
Yeah, so basically we like to find out a bit more about, like, say, the property tax rate,
我不知道是什么
and
原因。
also the HOA, what does it include?
我听plug already.
Yes,
No, you
great.
can plug in the microphone.
Great
不是
question.
你插进去的吗？因为
Yeah.
speaker.
So let me repeat the question. Excuse me, somebody, I think you tried to mute all the audience, but then they,
真讨厌。
yeah, so we want to, everybody who are attending, try to
我
mute
真的
themselves.
怎么知人家可以上去，我还是上不了啊。don't have a microphone.
Okay. So basically, like, say, a lot of us are in California, so we want to make sure, like, the property tax rate in terms of how it affects the actual return. So can you tell us a bit about the HOA and what is the HOA that would include, and also the property tax rate?
Yes. So, generally speaking, property taxes in Florida, we use a 1.5% factor. On this particular property, you're looking at about $344 a month, or it says $4,124 for the year. So, you know, that's what they're estimating the property taxes to be. And so usually with a new build, the first year of your property taxes will be on the land only. And then, you know, the following year after the build has been completed and assessed by the tax appraiser, you know, then those numbers would kick in. And then you also asked about the HOA, Monica, which I think is really important to note on these. Because there is an HOA. It was an existing situation with that pool and clubhouse that I mentioned to you. The pool is not actually working at the moment. They need to purchase new pool equipment. It has to be replaced. When I was there, the pool, you know, wasn't green. It looked fine. So it must be, I don't know if they have it closed for swimmers or if they're just aware of the problem. But that is important to note. And we have been working with the HOA to try and, you know, get to the bottom of exactly how that's going to look. But that's there right now. Our understanding is that they want to replace the pool equipment and they're putting out bids for that. And let's see here, the dues for the HOA, which is $125 per month. That's my understanding. It covers all the common area landscaping, the pool maintenance, even though the pool isn't usable, they're saying at this point, it still covers that. Any of the common area pest control, the common area bathroom, and the covered area that's behind the pool, which is like the clubhouse. It covers the dumpsters and utilities.
我可以听，我不能讲。为什么呀？但是我看不到。
Excuse me. Sorry, can you mute yourself, please? You know, like the attendee. 请把你的那个 mute 哈，因为你太吵，我们没有办法可以讲哈。Okay. Sorry about it. Yeah, Allison.
It's okay. I understand. These things are tricky sometimes with electronic communication and so forth.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So yeah, the HOA, you know, it is $125 per month. And you just need to know full disclosure on it. We are not concerned with the pool situation in terms of being able to tenant this property. We absolutely believe that people are still going to rent this property regardless of, you know, whether there's a pool or not a pool. So, you know, that's not something we're worried about, but you do need to be aware of it. So, you know, full disclosure on that. What else would you like to know about?
So basically, like for the type of tenants, so like for Ocala, you mentioned about number of industry being in that city. What type of tenant would be interested to rent a property like this? And usually how long would it take to find a tenant? I noticed that you charge management fee of 8%. So would that include the placement of a tenant, or would there be any leasing fees?
That's a great question, Monica. So yes, you're absolutely correct. We do charge 8% of collected rent. That's our monthly management fee. There is a lease-up fee. I believe it's 75% of the first month's rent. We do have a very extensive property management agreement, which I'm very happy to share that. I can email it to you now, or we can send it to the participants. Monica can send it later, however you choose to do it. And, you know, our professional management, property management fees are pretty standard across the board of what you're going to find with most any, you know, most any management company. Although I will note that with new construction, you know, our property management fee is typically lower. Normally in the field, you'll find 10% as a management fee for existing construction, but because it's new construction, we only charge 8%, and that is because we believe that it's much easier to actually manage new construction properties. It tends to draw better tenants. We get much higher rents. They tend to stay longer. The average tenant will stay about 3 years in a brand new construction property. The tenants will tend to take much better care of the property because it's brand new. So these are all things that we've found over the years of being a property management company, and it's really one of the main reasons that drove us to new construction versus even turnkey renovated properties. You just have a much better tenant a tenant base that's willing to pay for, you know, a new construction property. Now, as far as what these tenants may do, they could be, you know, literally any background you could imagine in terms of what kind of work they could do, because Florida is very diverse in its industries. We're very, very business friendly here in Florida. We have a lot of different types of industries. For example, I can tell you that we know of people that drive to the Orlando market that live in these Marion Oaks homes because it's close to I-75. So they may have a job in the Orlando market and just commute because the Turnpike and I-75 are so close, you know, closely situated to where this Marion Oaks location is. But you could have anything from, you know, retail managers, firefighters, police officers, school teachers, healthcare workers. They could be people that are working from home in all various different kinds of IT jobs. They could be people that work in different agricultural industries. You know, they could be people that work in the villages that serve all the different businesses in the villages. So, you know, they could be retired. You know, there are just a lot of different possibilities. And that's actually, I think, a really good thing, because you don't have all of your tenants coming from, say, one single employer, which is, I think, very important. We saw that happen in the Orlando market with COVID, with Disney World. Disney in Orlando provides a lot of jobs, and when they weren't able to have their parks open due to COVID, you know, a lot of those tenants were unable to pay. So thankfully, you know, we don't really do anything in the Orlando market. In places like Jacksonville and Ocala, you know, in the different markets where we're located, you know, that's one of the things that we're seeking, is we are seeking to have a very diverse group of employment opportunities, so that if something happens in a particular industry, all of a sudden, you know, all of your tenants aren't out of a job. So we really saw that proven out during COVID in Jacksonville, where we were literally hardly even touched in comparison to the Orlando market. So I hope that helps answer the question.
Yeah, certainly it does. Yes. So, like, also, we would like to find out in terms of, say, lot size of this type of home. How big is the lot size? And then in terms of, like, we noticed that you have projected some, say, appreciation, and so how do you, you know, base it on? And then the third question is, like, would you have any lender you can refer that can do the financing?
Absolutely. So the property size, the size of the actual lot, I'm actually going to look that up while we're talking about some of the other questions that you had. I have the parcel ID number here for one of these units, and I'm going to see if I can just pull, oh, there it was right there, pull it up and see the actual lot size. Generally speaking, most of our single family homes are typically built on a 0.25 of an acre, so it'd be like a quarter acre. But these units were part of an existing townhome property, so I'm just looking to see here. I have it pulled up on the property appraiser site. And this is Marion Oaks Meadows. I'm just looking to see where that is. But while I'm looking for that, you asked about lenders. Yes, we have an excellent resource page on our website, Southern Impression Homes website. If you go to the Investors Corner and you click on the financing tile, it will pull up an entire page of lenders for you. We have both recourse and non-recourse, if somebody's using, for example, IRA or you know, retirement type funds. We have both types of lenders, and these are all lenders that have done new construction deals for us, many. So, you know, they're not on the list unless we've worked with them and they're good. So yes, we're very happy to share the lenders. And then in terms of appreciation, I think generally speaking, if you look back at I'm just going back to our sheet here, which I think is on your screen. we have a lot of different numbers that we're displaying on this pro forma, as we call it. And you'll notice that the last page covers all of the definitions, which I think is really important because it gives you, you know, what that term is, how it's defined, and, you know, how we're calculating it so that you know exactly what we're talking about. Because, you know, numbers never lie, and you can't, you know, you have to really know what meaning you're pouring into a number. So I think that's good to know. But I'm generally speaking, when we're looking at any of these new construction investments, we do a 5-year return on investment, a 5-year hold, internal rate of return. You'll see that there. Generally speaking, they're going to be anywhere between 20 and 30%, just depending on the investment. So if you take that, you know, if you take that over, you know, a 5-year period and divide it by year, generally speaking, you're talking about a 5%. Appreciation rate. That's the general feeling.
That's what you project, huh? Okay, yeah. So I think, you know, like we definitely be sending out this information about a single home as well as other multiplexes, and most important of all, the website for your company, so my investor can research. And for anybody who are attending the event today, if you have any questions, please reach out to me, because we did some research too. We can share a bit about our thought on this. And in the meantime, I would like to share some information about, say, the multiplexes. And see, the multiplexes, okay, this is, want to make sure, is it the, okay, still the, let me go to share the multiplexes. So maybe while I'm pulling up the screen on the multiplexes, you can start talking about some of the duplexes, the 2 units that you have now that is built to rent, so that we could try to see what is potentially good for our investors.
Absolutely. Yeah. And before we go to the duplex, I just wanted to follow up on the property record from the Marion Oaks property. It says here 0.06 acres. So now I've got to be sure if that's, you know,
it's a little bit smaller. It's less than 3,000 square feet.
Exactly. Yeah. So, which would make sense because, and that may be why, you know, they were calling them townhomes originally with the property appraiser. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the duplexes. We built some great duplexes, and we currently are building duplexes in a couple of different markets. Ocala is a market where we do build duplexes, but currently we don't have any available. Again, you know, we fell out of that market very quickly. So I just don't currently have any examples of duplexes. But
I'm loading up the Port Charlotte one.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great. Let's get to the Port Charlotte one in just a second.
Yeah, the one that I'm showing is 2104 square feet and is asking for $479,900.
That's correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, that's Port Charlotte is a great market. It's in our Southwest Florida area. So it lies between Tampa and Naples. On the Gulf side. It's got a lot of beautiful bodies of water close by. You've got the Gulf of Mexico, you've got the big river bodies, lakes, you know, just like anywhere in Florida, there's a lot of water, and that's always a big draw for people, you know, to be near the water. They love being near the ocean, they love the boating and the fishing and all the different water sports that you can take advantage of. So Port Charlotte, you know, has a lot of beautiful things like that to offer. Port Charlotte is also a very new community. So when you go to Port Charlotte and visit, you know, most of the construction is new, most of the shops and the schools and the stores and everything that you're seeing is relatively new. So it's a very new community. It does tend to draw some of the more affluent retired folks, which makes really good tenants. They tend to be very good with the properties. Their credit scores are usually excellent. And so, there is a large community of retired folks in Port Charlotte, and they tend to really love these duplex products. Because at this point, a lot of them have, finished having their families, and it may just be a husband and wife. And so a 2-bedroom, 2-bath duplex is perfect. So it's very, very popular. And we do build a couple different types of duplexes, different square footage configurations, and some will come with a garage and some will come without a garage. And it will just depend on where that lot is located, whether or not it makes sense to have a garage or not. But this particular Port Charlotte duplex, it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 4 bedrooms total, 4 bathrooms total, on each side. And it is very beautiful. We use the same. One thing you should know about all of our build-to-rent products is it really doesn't matter which market you're selecting. The actual product itself is going to be extremely similar in anything that we use for the features. So you're always going to see the same flooring, the same countertops, the same stainless steel appliances. Pretty much the same paint, everything. And it's by utilizing those same standard features throughout all of our builds that allows us to give you a price point, generally speaking, below what your average builder is going to be able to go out and buy the same piece of land and do, the same kind of product. It's economies of scale that allows us to do that. But yeah, the only difference really in terms of the financing that you might want to be aware of when you're looking at a single family product like the Ocala single families that we just talked about versus, say, your duplex product, which is what we're thinking about here with Charlotte, is that with your lenders, they're going to want a little bit more of a down payment for a multifamily product. So with a single family, generally it's a 20% down payment. With a multifamily, whether it's 2, 3, or 4 doors, they're going to want a 25% down payment. So just a slightly different lending situation. Your interest rate should be roughly about the same, but just a little bit more down payment. So yeah, any particular questions that you would like for me to address on this, Monica, for the duplexes?
Yeah, so like for a duplex like that, are you going to build in cluster, a couple of duplexes in that community, or you only have like maybe, depending on the lots that you can acquire, 1 or 2 at one time, and also how long would it be requiring to get it built?
Great. So both great questions. And the answer to the first one in terms of where would we build really will depend on what lots are available. Because oftentimes what will happen is we will go into an area where we would like to build, and we might find a single lot on a street that already has, previous builders. They may be owner-occupied homes, or they may be investment duplexes, whatever the case may be. And we may only find one lot, whereas we may go, a couple streets over and we might find several lots. So a lot of the lot selection that we do will really just boil down to what lots can we acquire, what price can we acquire them for, and does it make sense for the numbers and for build to rent. We may pay a little more for this one or a little less for that one. It just, that just depends on our land acquisition team at the time. So, you may find a street that would have a couple of our duplexes on it, and then you might find a street close by that maybe only has 1 duplex on it. So it really just depends on the availability of the lots at the time that we're acquiring, the cost for those lots. There may be lots that we want that we can't get, or there may be lots that people are offering that we don't want. So it's really a mixed bag on that. And so that was the answer to the first question, I believe, in terms of what are we building. And then I'm trying to remember what the second question was. It totally slipped my mind.
Yeah, well, I always have a serious question. So, like, how long would it take to build, like this one?
Thank you, Monica. Thank you. I knew it was a good question. I just couldn't remember what it was. So time to build, I'm really glad you brought that question up because that is a really sticky wicket right now in terms of new construction. You know, back before COVID, it was very, very easy for me to say, oh, I can put this duplex together for you in 9 months to a year, easy peasy. You know, permitting was easier, getting materials was easier, finding labor in the trades was easier, everything was easier. Now we're in a little different world, and so, you know, it does make the timelines, at this point, they're pretty much doubled. I'll be honest with you, whether it's a single family or a duplex, they've almost doubled. So what it used to take me 6 months to build a single family, now it takes me about a year. And that is primarily because of the supply chain and the labor and trade issues. It's just really difficult to get what you need in order to build products. So that doesn't mean that you're going to have to wait 2 years to get a duplex. We have duplexes that are, some of them have gotten their permits and they're ready to start. Some of them have actually been started. And then some of them are just being released. So our inventory is varied. We do release inventory in the different markets on sort of a rolling monthly routine. And so, you know, inventory will come out and it, you know, it may have a 6 month, 9 month, 12 month, or even longer, you know, time period. And then sometimes we'll be lucky and we'll get a property that will roll back into inventory, and it may be, you know, I just had a duplex that was in the framing stage, roll back into inventory, which is great, and of course it got scooped up in no time because who doesn't want a shorter timeline, right? So, you know, it is important, I think, for people to understand that the big difference in investing in existing real estate and real estate that has to be built is that we are building it to rent it. We have to build it. So that does take time because, you know, building a house in and of itself is a complex, you know, a process. And then when you throw into the mix, you know, all the insanity of what's going on in the world with trying to just get materials, whether it be windows or trusses or sand. I mean, sometimes even getting dirt is difficult, you know, in permitting. So, you know, just be aware of the fact that the timeline is definitely, you know, a factor. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, sorry. I think like something weird that's happened to yeah, let me share it again. Okay. So let me also ask you this. For the duplex, basically, you mentioned about the reservation procedure, you know, like pretty much, you know, if interested, do they need to get a pre-approval by any of the lender before they start the process of reserving it? And also, can they actually fly in and kind of like check on the site before they go into contract and interview, you know, with your team and you and kind of discuss a bit more, because like it's kind of like build to rent for them as they are, you know, like kind of having a partnership with your company to build that property.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Both of those questions are great questions. So as far as the pre-approval, we certainly don't require that. That's really up to our investors. We used to, back in the beginning, you know, we would say, hey, send us a pre-approval letter, but we don't do that anymore. If the investor can provide, you know, the reservation deposit, which is 10% of whatever it is they're buying, that purchase price number. So for example, if they were buying one of these duplexes, purchase price is $479,900, they would be 10% of that, which would be $47,990. As long as they can do that, we will go under contract with them. But I always recommend, especially if it's their first time buying, you know, a property, it certainly would behoove them to give one of our or several of our lender resources, or any lender that they prefer, a call and just let them know, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. You know, what would I need to get pre-approved? And I know that our lenders can do that over the phone. They don't even have to pull somebody's credit. They can pretty much just have a very short phone conversation with you and let you know, hey, you're looking in the right direction. You can afford this, no problem. We shouldn't have any trouble, getting you approved. And, so it's certainly not a bad idea to do that. We don't require it. And in terms of the second question, we would love to have anybody that ever wants to come and visit our properties at any time. We welcome you, and it's an open invitation. Whether you want to come in and self-tour, or whether you want to meet with us in any of our markets, we're very happy to accommodate that for you. What we try to do, our main property management headquarters is in the Jacksonville area. But if you're not coming to Jacksonville, maybe you're interested in Port Charlotte, we can always arrange to have investors speak with our property management team. We can do Zoom calls, we can do phone calls, and we always recommend that you do that because we want you to be 110% confident that this is the right fit for you. So we're absolutely happy to facilitate, property management conversations, viewing the physical properties. You can come in and look at the lots. I mean, really whatever the investor would like to do to have a sense of, hey, they're really building houses in Florida. This isn't just a paper game. We absolutely welcome that. So you can, if you're interested in doing something like this, of course, you would go through Monica. And, Monica and I can work together to, if you let us know when you want to come, we can put together tour information for you. So does that help?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that's very helpful. And you mentioned about 2 years management agreement. So basically, your company would love to help to rent the home at the end of the construction. And so after 2 years, essentially the investor is free to use whoever they prefer, right? But they do, when they purchase the home, they have a commitment to use your service for 2 years. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. We do require a 2-year property management agreement commitment. We firmly believe and hope that you will be very pleased with us after the second year and want to continue with our property management services. But of course, if for any reason you don't want to continue, you're absolutely free to do whatever you wish. It's your property. You can manage it yourself. You can find another property manager, sell it, live in it, whatever you want to do. It's yours.
Got it. Yeah. So being that your company is a builder, can you talk a bit more about your warranty program? And let me load up the information about the warranty. Because I think, this is an important part because most everybody who are buying new homes would like to have a warranty. So I'm noting this one is 38 pages about workmanship, system, and structural warranty. Oh, is it the one that, that you want to discuss about what you could offer?
I would definitely say if anybody wants to refer to that more in-depth one, they certainly can. The easier one to look at visually might be the one called Defining the Warranty, because that's sort of a Cliff Notes version. It's the one with the picture of the house on it. And basically, it'll give you the breakdown of, the fact that this is a 1 to 10-year warranty, and it tells you what it covers. So you've got your 1-year warranty, which will be anything workmanship-wise, such as roofs, cabinets, etc. And then you've got your systems warranty, which is your 2-year warranty for things like piping and wiring and ductwork and so forth. And then, of course, you've got your 10-year structural warranty, which is things like framing and load-bearing walls, beams, columns, anything like that. Now, the beauty of the warranty is, I use this example, it's the same reason why, with a new car, you tend not to worry when you go out on a long trip because you figure, hey, everything's new, I'm probably not going to have a breakdown, right? It's the same thing with build-to-rent new construction. It's brand new. And so, just like cars, just like people, just like anything, houses have life cycles. And when it's brand new, statistically speaking, risk-wise, that's the lowest risk you're ever going to take in terms of things going wrong. And that's really at the root of why we have gravitated so strongly to the build to rent product, because we know as a property manager, we know as investors, and we know from tenants that it's the best you can offer. It's going to give you the least amount of headaches that you can possibly have when it comes to being, a property manager or a landlord or a tenant. And if something should go awry, which, things happen, even with brand new, we manage all that for you. All that's covered under warranty, our property management company handles that for you. So you don't have to be, giving a phone call and, spending your time tracking something down. Our property management team does that for you. So it really does give you that sort of sense of relief, that it's one less thing for you to worry about with your rental property. And that's really, we build them to last because we have to manage them, so we don't want them falling apart. And then we offer these warranties in case there is an issue. It just makes life a whole lot easier for everybody involved, whether it's the investor, the tenant, or the property manager. And that makes for happy people. So that's always a good thing. But I would just say, anybody that wants to pursue investigating the warranties more deeply, the one-page deal is kind of a nice little overview, and then the 38 pages or whatever, that gets into all the nitty-gritty. You can certainly delve into that. And of course, our property management team is always happy to answer specific questions about the warranty, because they deal with it and are very familiar with how it works. So again, that can be facilitated for anybody that would be interested in that.
So I presume that you might have a separate company for management. And currently, how many units are you managing? And how many account managers do you have now?
That is such a great question. So the answer to the first question is yes, we do have our own property management company. And that was actually where everything started. And the company is called Suncoast Property Management. And there is a link to that site in my signature, Monica, if you're looking for that link. And that will tell you all about our property management company, about the key players, kind of how we got our start, how our Suncoast Property Management Company works. And that is our overarching company, Suncoast Property Management. And we manage thousands of properties. A lot of them are in the Jacksonville area because, again, that's where we got our start. So we have, pretty heavy presence in Jacksonville. But we also have boots on the ground in any market where we are building and offering build-to-rent products. So whether it's Ottawa, Palm Coast, Atlanta, or any of our we actually have 3 different places in the southwest of the market because it's a very long distance, from, say, Tampa to Fort Myers. So we actually have 3 different sets, in Southwest Florida. But yes, we have our company has grown so rapidly in these years. It's almost hard for me personally to keep up with everybody because every month when our company newsletter comes out, we add more and more people. I do not actually know the answer to the last question that you asked, Monica, which is how many account managers do we currently have, because I've literally lost track. But we could certainly get you a specific number, from our property management team. Becky House is the director of property management, and I can tell you she's been with the company a long time, and she has worked in almost every aspect of our company, and she does an amazing job of directing that side of our business. And she's extremely customer service oriented, which gives me great sense of peace because as a sales individual, that is very important to me that, not only do we build you a gorgeous property that's going to last and attract the best tenants, but I want to make sure that once our property management team takes over, that they've got your back, that they are doing everything they can to protect the investment that you've made and to enhance your return. So that means keeping as much money as possible in your pocket by not, having terms and having to replace things. We really want to try and keep as much money as possible in your pocket. And although we have our own, turn department, we have our own maintenance department, we have our own lawn care guys. I mean, we have something for everything. There's always going to be stuff, and this you really don't see much with build to rent. You see it more with the renovation type houses. If something's outside of the scope of our, maintenance and repair group, then we have a very systematic approach to how we interview and provide you with different options, for things that may be more major, like, if you needed a new roof or something. But of course, you're not going to need that with build to rent anytime soon. But we have very, very specific systems and ways that we process things. After having done this so many times, we've streamlining, using the latest in communication and technology, just trying to make everything as easy as possible for the tenants and for the landlords. Whether it's your investor portal, whether it's being able to show, we use a Show Mojo box, which is an electronic way for tenants to access a property when they want to see it. And it's great because it doesn't mean, that tenant can go out and see a property maybe after work. They don't necessarily have to even meet with one of our showing agents. They can go and see that property for themselves. So these Show Mojo boxes are great. Little things like that we try to do to really streamline the process and make it as easy and quick as possible to get our properties on the market, to show the properties to the tenants, and then of course to manage and maintain those properties. I think that helps a little bit.
That's great. So I forgot to ask you, like, say, when this homes are built, do they also have like turnkey landscaping at the front and the back?
Great question. So every new construction build comes automatically with a landscape package. The landscape package will include X number of feet of grass, all around the front, side, and back of the property, certain number of shrubs, trees, and plants, because obviously we want to make that property as attractive as possible to, tenants. So it comes with the landscaping package. That's all part of the pricing configuration. In addition to landscaping, generally speaking, if a property has a garage, then it's an assumption that person, that's renting it could have a lawnmower. So in those cases, it's the responsibility of the tenant to mow that grass. If the property does not have a garage, for example, it may be a duplex without a garage, or it may be a quadruplex. Those don't come with garages. They're more along the lines of your condo or, apartment type scenarios. In those cases, the landscaping would be done, automatically through the property management side. And it's actually built into the rent, and as a feature that, we say to the tenant, okay, your rent includes, the landscaping, the lawn maintenance, so that, we don't have to worry in a quadruplex, whose quarter piece of grass is this, or that it's not getting done. So that's generally how we break down the lawn maintenance. If it's a garage, we assume they can, handle the lawn maintenance themselves, and they are responsible for that. We, of course, are checking on that property to make sure that it is, in fact, getting mowed. And if it's not, then it's cited and given notice that that's something that has to be handled. I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does certainly help. So basically, it could vary from property to property. So I think what we are going to do, basically you have given us very comprehensive explanation on how the whole project and the model work that you're offering to the investors. So what we are going to do is to send out all the investment opportunities together with the warranty information and your contact to everyone who has registered and attended the event, so that they can reach out to try to relate an individual question to you. But at the same time, I did notice that there might be, you might have one question. Let's see if, so is it all Okay, so basically, I think that's a question that we already addressed. And so I think, there might be more people interested to find out more specifically about what you have offer, because I noticed that Allison does have a list of multiplexes or homes they can be built. Some of them are 1031 ready. That means it can be closed within 180 days. So anyone who's trying to close on one property and buy up late, you do have 180 days of time frame to close. But some of them, like you said, because of the pandemic, it might be delayed, that it will go beyond 180 days. So it's all on different cases. But basically, it's good to know that you do have like some brand new multiplexes, because in where we are or where we have invested, very often multiplexes are very old and hard to come by and may not really be in very good shape. So having some new multiplexes is interesting to a lot of my investors, especially they want to own more because they do have a number of limit of loans. Many markets only allow up to 10 loans. But then if you can buy 2 doors or 4 doors with 1 loan, that might help to increase the portfolio, especially we noticed that the inflation is so high now. Like in January, it captured 7.5%. A lot of people are moving some of their money, from stock market to the brick and mortar because kind of help to hedge against inflation. I do have one more question. Out of all the properties you guys are managing, did you see like serious non-payment during the pandemic? Because
that is such a great question. Yeah, we were very, very, very fortunate. And I think the primary reason for that was, I might have alluded to it a little bit earlier in our conversation, because of the different markets that we have selected as a company to build in, employment has been a real key indicator and one of our major tick boxes before we go in and buy land. And we want it to be very diverse employment, not just one single employer. So we've been very, very fortunate in the non-payment area. We've heard kind of horror stories of other parts of the country and even other parts of the state that have had this issue. And we've been extremely fortunate. There's been a little bit, but it hasn't been near what a lot of other markets have experienced. And we really attribute that to a couple different things. Number one, because there's such a diversity of employment and this state is so business friendly, there weren't that many people that were actually affected that were our tenants that couldn't pay. I mean, granted, there's always going to be a few, but in comparison to, say, the Orlando market, Miami market, some of these other areas, we were just trucking right along, and these other places were really having a hard time, whether they were hit by the cruise industry or Disney, whatever it may be. Thankfully our tenants continue to work, so we really did not have the same fallout that a lot of these other markets had, and we attribute that to again, the diversity of the economy, the diversity of the types and numbers of employers in these various markets, and then of course just trying to find the right tenants at the get-go. I have to tell you that Becky and her team are amazing. They're like detectives. They do an awful lot of research on these tenants when a tenant applies for something, because they've learned a lot of the tricks that people can fake things, and they know how to figure out whether or not they're telling the truth. So it's almost like a detective agency when they're trying to determine which tenant they're going to allow to move into a property, because you have to understand, here in Florida there's so much demand for housing to begin with, because so many people are moving here, that, if you have 10 tenants lined up for a property, if you're doing all the right things, you can generally find the very best one out of that group. And so those are the kind of things that are going to prevent, the fallout from non-payment and so forth. So they're very, very fortunate.
That's good to know. Yeah, it's good to have like some professional who can provide a good solution to screen for the best tenants.
Yeah.
Especially now, you know, many of us are like a long distance landlord,
Right.
and we totally, you know, rely on a good manager to try to screen for the best tenant and to avoid, you know, headaches. So
Absolutely.
very good. Yeah, this has been very, very informative, and a lot of details been provided. And so, like I said, I am going to share all the information that was passed to me by Allison, and then like our attendees, you can review the information. You can reach out to Allison directly, or you can contact me if you have any specific discussion you want to conduct. And in the meantime, yeah, I really hope that everybody has a good rest of the weekend. And Allison, and thanks so much for your time. And we are very excited and hope that, you know, some of my investors can study further on the good opportunities you are offering. And one more side note, the remarks I want to make. One of the reasons I get connected to Allison is because our last speaker, his name is Louis Mallow, and he is the property manager and very experienced. And he is the president of a company that owns and manage 1,600 properties here in the Bay Area. And when I discussed with him where did he invest, and Louis actually have a long-term relation with Southern Impression Homes on his investment in Florida, and I think he also invested in Tennessee, and he's very happy with it. So that's why, you know, for somebody I trust, and he has experience in the property industry, he worked with Southern Impression Home, and that's why I would study further and get connected to Allison. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Lou's a great guy, and we really appreciate him sharing you with us. And we're here to help each and every one of you based on whatever your needs are. So please feel free to reach out to Monica or to myself if there's anything at all that we can do to help you. We're just delighted to be here today, and what a privilege to be able to speak with you and share with you about our company. And I hope you guys have an awesome weekend.
Yeah, thank you so much, Allison. Thanks.